Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Romeo and Juliet, and today we get to hear from Friar Lawrence, who's sort of the voice of reason in this play, which is maybe good to have the religious guy be the smart one. And we'll find out more about him later and his mild ineffectualness, but whatever. Not on that right now. Quick recap, because today we're kicking off Act 2, Scene 3, and you know why I'm doing air quotes, but the things that have happened prior to that, up through Act 2, Scene 2, Romeo and Juliet met and fell in love at first sight and have decided that they want to get married. They exchanged all the niceties. Juliet was like, if you really do plan to marry me, just tell me where and when. If you need a little time to figure it out, I'll send you somebody first thing in the morning who just give like an address and a time, and I'll be there and we can get married. And then they do the whole like, you hang up, no, you hang up, no, you hang up, no, you hang up thing for a little while, but in Shakespearean. And she goes off to bed and he goes off to find a priest who will agree to marry them. So to that end, we are starting off Act 2, Scene 3 with Friar Lawrence, who is outside gardening first thing in the morning. And he says, the gray-eyed morn smiles on the frowning night, checkering the eastern clouds with streaks of light. And fleckled darkness like a drunkard reels from forth day's path and tightens burning wheels. Now, ere the sun advances burning eye, the day to cheer and night's dank dew to dry, I must upfill this osier cage of ours with baleful weeds and precious juiced flowers. The earth, that's nature's mother, is her tomb. What is her burying grave that is her womb? And from her womb children of diverse kind we, sucking on her natural bosom, find. Many, for many virtues excellent. None but for some, and yet all different. Oh, mickle is the powerful grace that lies in plants, herbs, stones, and their true qualities. For naught so vile that on the earth doth live, but to the earth some special good doth give. Nor aught so good, but strained from that fair use, revolts from true birth, stumbling on abuse. Virtue itself turns vice, being misapplied, and vice sometime by action dignified. Within the infant rind of this weak flower, poison hath residence, and medicine power. For this, being smelt with that part, cheers each part. Being tasted, slays all senses with the heart. Two such opposed kings encamp them still, in man as well as herbs, grace and rude will. And where the worser is predominant, full soon the canker death eats up that plant. So he's outside gardening and being really philosophical all at the same time. He's like, okay, I gotta go pick these flowers, and isn't it great that there's such incredible variety and diversity amongst plant life, plants and herbs and all that sort of thing. And some of them, which might seem dangerous, actually have some good qualities. He's like, there's nothing that exists on this planet that doesn't give something good back to the planet. And isn't that cool? And he's like, here's this flower that if you smell it, it wakes you up and makes you happy, but if you eat it, it kills you and you die. But he also says that there's nothing that is so good for you that if you overdo it, isn't bad. And there's also nothing so bad that can't be redeemed or offer some value. The bit, for naught so vile that on the earth doth live, but to the earth some special good doth give. Nor aught so good, but strained from that fair use, revolts from true birth, stumbling on abuse. Virtue itself turns vice, being misapplied, and vice sometime by action dignified. Those are they're very poignant words to me, and they point out, there's these two warring factions, the Montagues and the Capulets, and for every iteration of this play, they turn the Montagues and the Capulets into something else. If you want to make it a racial thing, if you want to make it a class war, if you want to make it just whatever it is, he's using the plants as a metaphor to talk about the fact that both families, both sides, have some good things to offer, but both sides have been pushed so far that they are now doing harm to each other and to themselves. And that's what happens. People trying to be good, in perhaps in the case of the younger generations of one family, feeling like they need to extend this war for the honor of their family. They're like that seemingly virtuous thing of protecting the family's honor becomes horrible when it means the death of other people. And sometimes having to fight back is the right answer or the best answer, that kind of a thing. So it's a very poignant piece, especially in today's times, but there's part of me that guesses that it has been poignant for the 400 and some odd years that it has been around, because there's probably always been some sort of war between two sides going on, both of whom felt they were in the right, but took that to such extremes that everything fell apart and both sides suffered. So, yeah. So he's being very philosophical while he's gardening first thing in the morning. And then Romeo comes in and he's got some advice for Romeo. But I've already talked enough for today, so we'll get into his advice for Romeo tomorrow. I'll see you then. Mwah.